Hi Ajinkya.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good
How are you?
afternoon. I'm good. How are you? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good too. Thank you. So, okay. Can you introduce yourself? We can go from there.
Okay, thank you for having me. My name is I have worked in various fields like sales, insurance, banking, HR, and my last project was
Hmm.
into medical domain. If you talk about Power BI, I'm highly skilled in using Power BI for data visualization, analysis. So this include creating interactive report, dashboard, connecting to various data sources, including a SQL database and implementing complex data transformation and calculation using DEX. And if you talk about SQL, I have a deep understanding of SQL, including complex query, automation technique, and database design principle. I'm proficient in writing advanced SQL queries to extract, manipulate, and summarize data from a relational database. I have started my career with DBOS, basically for a Netherlands-based client called. So they are into manufacturing of medical equipment. So they are specifically into neuro and sensory. So we were building an analytical
Hmm.
solution that can gives insight about the product performance, like licensing of software, risk analysis, security of application. For that, the I was using import data import mode, and the data source what we have SQL, Jira, and GitHub. And for the KPI, we
Okay.
were showing high, medium, low performance for the Black Duck and Coverity. So Black Duck and Coverity were the two software there. So what are
Okay.
they?
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
We'll go from the project's perspective. So you have mentioned that in the Power BI you have I think 5+ years of experience
Yes.
individual, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, okay. So let's say, so can you tell me what are the guidelines do you generally follow in order to build any efficient data model of any project?
Hmm.
You can say.
To build efficient data models, I generally follow a few key guidelines. Like first, understand business requirement, collaborate with stakeholder to identify the data models, purpose and expected outcomes, define the granularity of data and key metrics upfront. Second, adopt data star or snowflake schema design. We use a star schema for simplicity and performance in reporting, and opt for a snowflake schema when normalization is needed to reduce redundancy. And third is optimize data sources. Prefer using structured, clean, and well prepared data from reliable sources. Avoid loading unnecessary data into the model. And fourth is will reduce model size, will eliminate unused column and tables, and will use appropriate data types to minimize memory uses, and aggregate data where detailed granularity isn't required, and will establish clear relationship. At the fifth point, will define one to many relationship between tables. Will use single directional relationship unless cross filtering is necessary, and enforce referential integrity to avoid errors. And sixth one is index and partitioning. Will leverage indexing on large dataset for faster queries, and will use partitioning to manage large tables and improve performances. And after that, on the seventh part, will use naming convention and documentation. Will name table, column, and measures clearly and consistently. I'll document model assumptions and logic for future references. And will in the 8 point, will minimize calculated column. Will use calculated measure instead of calculated column whenever possible to optimize performance. In the 9 point, will test and validate the model. Will validate data accuracy to comparing with source system, and perform stress tests to ensure the model handles large dataset efficiently. In the 10th part, will monitor performance. Will use tool like Power BI performance analyzer or SQL query execution plans to identify bottlenecks, optimize queries, and visual to reduce refresh time.
Okay. So you have mentioned I think you generally. So I want to understand what kind of mode do you generally use in order to create any Power BI data model?
In generally, see, we have import mode, direct mode, composite mode, and the live connection mode. These are the mode we have used
Can
generally.
you differentiate those? Can you mention any difference?
Okay, yes, we see mostly we have the import mode, we have import mode, direct connection mode, and composite mode there. So, in talk about import mode, so for most scenario where high performance and interactivity are required, so we use import mode, like data is fully loaded into the Power BI in memory, and it will provide a
Hmm,
faster query performance, but we use it small to medium data set that called fit in memory. And direct query use when working with the very large data set, or when real time data access is required. So queries and execute directly for the on the source system without importing data into the Power BI. And when we use it,
hmm,
when large enterprise data system like SQL Server or Snowflake with strict real time requirement are there, so there we use
hmm,
the direct query mode. And the composite mode, when a combination of import and direct query is needed for the flexibility, so it allow
hmm.
leverage the real time data for some level, like direct query, while optimizing performance for others. So if the complex model where only specific data need to be live to, or when integrated multiple data sources, so where we use it. Or when And for the live connection, when connection is directly to the Power BI dataset analysis service or dataverse.
Okay,
So it is
got it.
centralized data model managed in a single location for consistency, like enterprise level or deployment with the centralized governments. So we use, so in generally I prefer import mode for most project due to its speed and performance, but for the large scale or real time scenario I consider direct or composite mode there.
Okay, fine. Okay. So can you tell me what is exactly query folding is about?
Query folding is when Power BI or Power Query pushes data transformation back to the source system, allowing the source, example SQL Server, to execute theme instead of the local machine. For example, if you filter row to show only sales greater than 1000 Power Query for a SQL tables query, folding translates this into a SQL query like select star from sales table where sales are greater than 1000. So this reduced the data sent to Power BI and improve performance. To check, right click step in Power Query and select view native query. If visible, folding occurs.
In Power Query, when we write any let's say transformation step, so which language do we use?
M code, M
M
language.
code. Okay.
Yeah.
Then yeah, yeah. Then what about the query folding is?
In Power Query, transformations are written using M code or M language, which is a functional programming language designed specifically for data transformation. Relationship with Power Query folding, M code defines the transformation steps, but the query folding process translate these steps into the native query language of the data source, for example SQL or SQL Server. If the M code steps can be translated to a native query, query folding occurs. If not, the data transformations are processed locally in Power BI. For example, if you write a filter in Power Query using M code, table dot select rows sales table, each sales greater than 1000. So in Power Query, we'll try to fold it into a native SQL queries like select star from sales table where sales greater than 1000. So this boosts performance by offloading processing to the data source.
So let's say my source was Excel. In that case, what could be the query folding? I mean, how query gets folded in the source side?
When the source is Excel, query folding does not occur because Excel is a flat file and does not have a query engine to execute transformation. All transformation happen locally within Power Query, and query folding requires a source system that support query execution. For example, SQL Server, Oracle, etc. Excel is just a file; it cannot process or execute queries, and Power Query read the full data from the Excel file. All transformations such as filtering, grouping, or merging are performed in memory by Power Query. For example, if you filter row for sales greater 1000 in Excel, Power Query loads all the data first, then applies the filter locally. Unlike a database, Excel cannot optimize or execute a query to send only the required data. In short, when using Excel as a source, transformation are processed entirely on the client side, not folded back to the source.
Okay, okay. So, is there any way to recognize whether the performed transformation is going to be query folded or not?
Yes, you can recognize whether a transformation in Power Query is being folded by using the View Native Query option. We can open Power Query Editor in Power BI or Excel. Open the Power Query Editor, right click a step in Applied Step pane, right click on any transformation step, select View Native Query. If the option is enabled, the transformation is being folded into the source query. If the option is grayed out, the transformation is not being folded and it's processed locally. Query folding can break when unsupported transformation. For example, custom M code, certain text manipulation are used. The data source does not support query folding. For example, Excel flat file APIs. Uh, to perform complex or unsupported transformation at the end of the query to preserve folding for as long as possible.
Okay, so let's say I have some uh, 5 to 7 transformation steps. So some of them are not being query folded, but some of them are. So then, how do I approach this transformation step in order to optimize the query performance?
To optimize query performance when some transformation break query folding, perform foldable transformation, for example, filter joins early in the query. Move non-foldable step like custom columns to the end, and will use a native query to complex operation directly on the source if possible, and will minimize data by removing unnecessary column and row early, and will use diagnostic to identify and fix slow steps. This ensure maximum folding and reduces local processing.
Fine. Uh, okay, so let's say coming to the visualization side, uh, let's say I want to, I'm building a same sales monitoring dashboard for a let's say X client, and I want to showcase the monthly sales performance across the regions they have, right? So and I want to showcase uh, the regions which is having high sales performance against the region which is low sales performance. So how can we visualize this kind of scenario using any visualization? Can you name any visualization which will help us to showcase this scenario in better fashion? What kinds of functionalities you will use in order to showcase the client's need in minimum time?
Showcasing monthly sales performance across region and highlighting high versus low performing regions. So we can use some visual and functionality. For example, bar chart with conditional formatting. Bar chart are great for comparing categories like regions, and it help us to apply conditional formatting to color bars based on performance. For example, green for high sales, red for low sales, and it is used a staked bar chart if you want to show region contribution over time. And heat map can display regions on one axis and month on the other, with sales value represented by color intensity. And it is easily highlights high and low performers through color gradients. And third one, we can use map visuals. A map is effective for special comparison for sales performance across region. So it is use data point with conditional coloring, for example green for high sales, red for low sales, or proportional bubbles for represent sales volume. And fourth, we can use line and column chart combo. So it is use it has column or to show monthly sales per region, and a line to display the overall trend. So it add data labels and tooltip to highlight specific value. So uh, so it's use predefined measure like total sales and variance in Power BI or other BI tool to avoid manual calculation. We can add dynamic slicer filter for regions to and months to allow easy exploration. And we'll enable tooltip to show additional detail, for example YTD performance, without cluttering the visuals. And we'll use quick measures or dex function, for example rank x, to rank region dynamically by performance.
Okay, okay. So that's fine. Okay, so let's say uh, the same scenario I have talked about earlier. So I want to find the global minimum of that particular scenario and global maximum. So how can we do that using? I mean, how can we do that? So did you understand what we are trying to showcase? So let's say on the monthly basis, I'm trying to showcase the region-wise sales, right? And from
So
these all the data, I want to showcase minimum and maximum.
to find and showcase the global minimum and maximum global for the monthly region wise sales scenario, will use text measure, and Power BI will create two text measure to calculate the global minimum and maximum. Global minimum sales, global minimum sales, mini sales, sales amount, and global maximum sales, global maximum sales, max sales, sales amount. And will highlight mini max in the visual to visual showcase these value like bar or column chart. Add a conditional formatting rule like will highlight the bar representing the maximum sales, for example green, and the minimum sales, example red. And then we'll create a table or matrix visualization, include region, month, and the sales in a table. We'll use icon or conditional formatting to mark the row with the maximum and minimize sales value. And third, we can use two card visual to display the global maximum sales and the corresponding region and month, the global minimum sales and the corresponding region and the month. And for the advanced visualization, we can use scattered plot. We'll use a scattered plot to plot sales performance across regions and month, highlight point for global minimum and maximum using distinct color or shape. And then we can combine these insight into the dashboard, like bar chart to show monthly sales performance, card visual to global minimum max sales value, and highlight region and month with conditional formatting.
So
Yeah.
can you name the DAX major DAX functions you are going to use?
Yeah, for a global minimum is equal to minimum sales and bracket sales amount. So we'll create a global minimum with that. Like, and global maximum, same global maximum max sales amount. That we have created. Okay, measures. Then we can highlight the card visual there. Use aggregate query like alternative. We can do the like we can use a card visual there. It will display the global minimum and maximum. And we can use a bar chart as well, like highlight bar corresponding to the minimum max value with conditional formatting. So this will help.
So you said that you will use mean function, right? So, so what is the requirement of minimum function?
Means
I
I
mean,
did, like we have created the dex function there to create the we have created a measure to applying this formula, this dex function, like a minimum like it will create a minimum
so
value of
minimum will require what exactly?
minimum
Will it require expression, or will it require any table column?
it will require the table column, like table name is sales, sales amount, like amount is a column, then sales is table name,
Okay.
then the column name will be the sales amount.
Okay, so let's say we'll add one another complexity. So let's say I want to showcase so there are customer wants three choices of toggle. Let's say one YTD, 1 year and 2 year. Okay, and then in this case I want to showcase same global minimum for that particular, let's say, selected period, and for selected let's say product. There is other attribute we are getting into, which is product. So for that let's say for the particular product which I have selected, then I'll toggle on the YTD. Then I want to calculate the minimum and maximum, global minimum of that same value. How can we do that? Is there possible to using a mean function we can do that?
So see, white we can create a toggle choices for like we can create a toggle, like a toggle period, YTD years, years, like a name table period toggle, and then we can add the slicer. We can use this table to create a slicer in
Did
your
you get
dashboard.
what I'm trying to say? So on the basis of that selected period,
Hmm.
let's say YTD period, let's say uh, uh, start from 1st of January for this year,
Hmm.
right,
Hmm.
and ends for this date, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So for this particular period I want to uh, calculate the sales value and then find the global minimum and global maximum
Hmm.
for that particular product in that particular regions across all the months of
Okay.
that particular year. So how can we do that? Will minimum will sufficient to showcase that value?
No, that will not. That only will not help. We can we can put. We have to put a dynamic period logic there, like from this date
How?
to
Can
this
you
date.
name any functions which will help us to calculate that global value,
Like
global minimum or global maximum?
we can create the current year, or like we can use the filter data require, like we can create a dex measure to filter the data from January 1st to this year today. So we can current year filter will be filter all calendar date, date year today, and calendar today, that we can create. Then we can calculate the sales value for the filtered period, right? Then again, which we can create a measure for total sales within the filtered period for the selected product and the region, like sales value, calculate some sales. So we that we create. Then we can find global minimum and maximum across all the month, like we can
How can we do that? How
like
can we do that? That is
global.
the pinpoint question I want to I want to you answer that.
Okay.
So you will calculate that total sales, whatnot. That is right, right. But I want to understand the minimum value for that particular month, or else let's say first we'll calculate the global minimum and maximum. So how can we do that? So will that functions you have mentioned that you will calculate, you will filter out the data, then you will calculate the measure, but
No, no,
will that sufficient to calculate global minimum?
no. Then we can create we can create a global minimum sales for the select product and region. We can
How can we do that?
we can put the dex function there. Global minimum, calculate minimum sales and sales amount, sales product, select value product, sales region, select value region, and then current year filter. Then for the global maximum, we'll do the we'll apply the same dex function there, and we can create a we can create a maximum value there for a month with minimum sales for for if you want to do the month wise month minimum sales, calculate select value calendar month name, sales amount global minimum, and for the same thing we'll do the maximum sales. So that way we can create. If you want me to write, I can write it.
Okay, let's take a look. Can you write?
Yes.
Just share your screen and showcase me. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So you want month wise or year wise?
Let's say we'll plot a data first. So let's say I have five regions, region A to E,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Then there are month from Jan to this month,
Hmm.
let's say. So then you will assume any values for those, all the sale values.
Hmm.
Then I want the minimum of that particular sale, all the sales. I mean, how many sales will be there? Let's say 60 sales will be there, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I want the minimum of that 60 sales and maximum of that 60 sales. Uh, okay, I'll give you your time.
Okay. Month wise, right? Too.
No, I want global minimum. I mean, as I said, so there are 60 sale values because 5 regions and 12 months,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? Then I want the minimum of all the 60 values and maximum of all that 60 values. So you are getting why I'm trying to calculate that value, because I want to showcase the performance over the global minimum or maximum, whatever it is.
Yeah, so then the formula will be the same, like global
What will be the first value required?
all
And next,
sales amount, all sales sales,
what all will do in this particular function?
like we will create the will select the all data, then we can filter out the data from like all sales data will be there, like all function will remove any filter like by region or month to ensure it
Yeah.
evaluate all
But
60
but
cells globally.
but so you are removing the all the filters on that particular table
Yes.
using that all.
Yes.
What then? So sales amount will be
Sales amount will be the column name.
okay. So you are okay.
Then
Sales amount will be your column. Right.
and then
Okay. Then
for the same thing then we'll do the maximum.
okay. So did you get any problem in your function, because you are removing the filters from, let's say, sales, but we are considering any other attributes in order to calculate this value, right?
Hmm.
So
So we can
then
do the dynamic adjustment, like if you want to global minimum and maximum to adjust dynamically based on the slicer for a specific month or region. So we can do that dynamically as well, like global minimum, dynamic minimax, all selected sales amount. That way we can do the dynamic as well. So for that, you want me to write the dex function?
yeah, please.
Okay.
So what's the difference between all selected and all?
All removes all filters from the specified table or column, including slicer and visuals. We can calculate total ignoring all filters. For example, calculate some sales amount, all sales, ignore slicer and visual filter, and all selected. It removes filter only from the visual but keeps slicer or page level filters. We can calculate total respecting slicer but ignoring visual. filters, for example, calculate sum sales amount, all selected sales, respect slicer, ignores visual filter.
Okay. Uh, okay. So what is the difference between filter and slicer? You have mentioned that term. So can you elaborate on that?
A filter is used to restrict data displayed in a report applied at different level, like visual page or report, like visual level, page level, and the report filters. So, filter visual level filter apply to a single visual, page level filter applies to all visual on a specific page, and report level filter apply to a page and visual in the report, where applied filter are added in the filter panes. So users cannot interact with filters directly unless they are configured for dynamic filtering. For example, a page level filter showing only data for region is equal to north, and slicer, a slicer is a visual tool that allow user to interactively filter the data displayed on the report. It typically affects multiple visual connected to the same dataset but can be customized, uh, and it added directly as a visual on the report canvas. User can interact with slicer to dynamically filter data, like it has type like a drop down list, date range, hierarchical slicer, a slicer allowing user to toggle between different region dynamically. For example, filter predefined a report level filter to show data for the last 2 year, and the slicer let user dynamically filter sales data by the product category.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So okay then. Okay. So can you name the roles which we have in the Power BI service? What kinds of roles we have?
When we assign the workspace, like we can have admin role, member, contributor, viewer. So admin is full control over the workspace, can add, remove member, publish, update, report, and manage the setting. And member can
Hmm.
edit, publish, and share report and data sets within the workspace, but cannot manage permission. And
Hmm.
contributor can create and edit content like a report, dashboard, data set, but it cannot share or update permission. And viewer can view report and dashboard but cannot edit or create content.
Okay. Got it. Uh, okay. So you are mentioned about data gateway. What types of data gateways do we have?
In Power BI, there are two main types of data gateways that facilitate secure data connectivity in between Power BI servers and on-premises data sources. Uh, First is on-premises data gateway, that is standard mode. It allow multiple user to connect to multiple on-premises data sources securely. For enterprises and environment where multiple report and data sets need access to shared data sources. It supports schedule refresh, live connection, for example, SQL Server, analysis services, and direct query. It helps us to centralized management and shared gateway for all user in the organization. And on-premises data gateway, it uses for personal mode, like it designed for individual user to connect to on premises data sources for personal use cases where a single user maintain a connection to their data sets. It schedule refresh only, does not support live connection or direct query, and it help us to user specific gateway like installed on the user machine.
Okay, got it. Okay. So let's say I think you have mentioned that we generally use import mode
Mhm.
for most of the data sources, right? But with that, you have mentioned that it is not very good for large scale data set, right? Because we are compressing the data model in the in memory storage, right?
Mhm.
So let's say I want to use the leverage capabilities of the import mode on the large scale data set. So is there any provision to use that? Can we use that rather than going to the direct query mode?
Yes, we can still leverage import mode for large scale dataset by optimizing our data model and using aggregation techniques. While import mode load data into memory, efficient design and resource management can help handle large scale dataset effectively without needing to switch to direct query. What we can do is, so we can import, like how to use import mode for large scale. We can optimize data model, like we'll remove unnecessary column and tables, will load only the required data for your for our analysis, and will use efficient data type, like we'll replace large text column with numeric or categorical representation where possible, and we'll use aggregate data, like pre-aggregated data at the source, for example monthly sales instead of daily. And we'll use aggregation feature like aggregation table. We'll use pre-aggregated summary table for high level metrics, for example total sales by region. In Power BI, I can seamlessly switch between detailed and aggregated data based on user queries. On automatic switching, we can use like Power BI intelligent switches between aggregated and detailed data using direct query or import mode based on the level of detail required. And partitioning and incremental refresh will use partitioning, like will split data into smaller partition, for example by date to reduce memory usage. And will put incremental refresh there, will refresh only the new or updated data instead of reloading the entire dataset, saving memory and processing time. And will enable compression, like in Power BI automatically compresses data in import mode. You can further optimize compression by reducing cardinality by in column, removing unnecessary detail column, for example timestamps if not needed. And we'll use hybrid models like direct query or plus import, like we can import frequently used or aggregated data while leaving detail or rarely accessed data in direct query mode. This balanced performance and scalability. And will optimize dex measure, like will write efficient dex calculation to minimize memory consumption. And will avoid calculated columns, will use calculated measure instead. For example, will import pre-aggregated sales data. For example, monthly sales by product and region, will use detailed data like transaction level data via direct query only when user drill down, and apply incremental refresh for large data set, for example 3 years of historical data with monthly refresh. So by combining import mode with optimization like aggregation, partitioning and hybrid models, we can handle large scale data set effectively without switching entirely to direct query
You will
refresh.
use partition
Hmm.
so at the backend side, or you will prefer at the downstream side, I mean at the report level side?
At the report
How
level
can
side,
how can we do that?
like we will take the we can use tool like tabular editor for Power BI premium feature to implement partitioning. We can use an incremental refresh and often combined with partitioning. So
Okay, so generally incremental refresh will do this same kind of thing, partitioning,
yes,
right?
yes. Hmm.
To in the SQL.
Yes.
So can you elaborate what is exactly incremental refresh will do,
So with
and what is the restrictions of incremental refresh?
with incremental refresh, you can only load and refresh data that has changed, rather than the entire data set. Like we can define parameter for the date range, like from start date to end
So
date.
what is the main thing you want to implement the incremental data refresh?
Like all the data set is the same, right? So we just have to put the we just have to put the incremental range there, like we
So let's say I have some dimension tables and fact tables. So the incremental data refresh will be possible to dimension.
It will like incremental data set is typically applied for dimension table. It not is not typically applied for dimension table in Power BI. So because a dimension
Yeah,
table are
so
generally
so
smaller
so you
mold.
will use for fact table,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So then, what kind of main important attribute you will look for in order to implement that method?
Like incremental refresh you're talking about.
Yes, yes, yes. So
Okay.
you said that we will use incremental refresh on the fact table. That is correct, right? But then you need one attribute, I mean column I'm talking about. So in order to implement that incremental refresh, so what column, I mean the uh, type of that column, I think we need to check, right?
It's
In order to do some incremental refresh. So
so
what kind of type of the attribute you will look for in the fact table?
like we can date or time span field. Like why
Yeah,
important?
yeah, yeah.
This column allow
Yes.
Power BI to define range like start date or end date for the
Yeah,
like
because
for
we need to use that as a to partition the data, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, so that is the one thing. Yeah, go ahead.
And then we can like unique and conservative value like the data is time spent field must have unique or consistent value for the Power BI for accurately filter or partition data. Then we can
Hmm,
range
hmm.
the partition logic like the field must allow filtering based on range like example dates greater than range start and less than range end. And we can like historical and incremental data separation that this column should be enable clear differentiation between historical like it should be unchanging like data and updated data. And additional attribute in the for the complex scenario we can use a like change tracking versioning field like for dimension table field like last date table or is active and identify change record if they don't grow by date.
Hmm,
And
hmm,
for
hmm.
we can use a primary key or unique identifier like we can ensure the data integrity during the incremental update especially when combining with the merge logic for update.
Got it, got it. So you have mentioned about the RLS as well, right? So so it's a part of data security, right? So is there any other data security part you have known of?
We can use the security function there like we can
I
column
mean, have you
security.
heard about the object level security term?
Like object level security I have heard like we can restrict access to specific column or tables within a data set. Like you
Okay,
can
and
define OLS rules at tabular editor or Power BI desktop like if it is
okay, how
supporting
can we do that in the tabular editor?
a
Because
tab.
we don't have this functionality at the desktop level right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So using that external tool you mentioned, tabular editor, how can we do that?
We can do the Power BI desktop also like we can hide the salary column from the unauthorized user like restrict access to like financial table for non-financial rules. Or
Okay,
we
so
can
you are saying, let me understand that. So you are saying that you have implement the object level security uh, at the Power BI desktop level. Can you elaborate on that? How did you do that?
okay. So we can what we can do the we can go to the transform data like
Hmm.
transform data then where like into the Power BI desktop. So and then we have to install the tabular editor there. So for that we
So
use
then you are using the external tool,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So we
Yeah,
can
so that's what because I'm get confused because you said that you have used Power BI desktop. So desktop is a single software, right?
yeah, yeah.
And external tool it's like separate software. You
Yep.
are just implementing it in using the external tools. I think we said right
Yes,
in the
yeah,
Power BI.
yes. So for
So
a
you are using the object. You are using the tabular editor in order to implement the object level security.
correct, correct. So for
Right.
the
So
for
how did you do that?
in
So
tabular
you mentioned the
edit,
tabular editor. Yeah.
yeah.
So I want
So
to just can you mention the steps?
Okay, so you
Uh,
can go to the tabulator, go to the roles.
hmm,
Like we can
hmm,
then we can create a new role. Like for example, HR or a finance role.
hmm,
Then we can right click
hmm,
on the role folder. Then we can add the role, and we can set table for column level permission. Like we can restrict table access. Like select the table you want to secure, or we can in the advanced property set object level security to none for the created role, and we can restrict column access, select to column to restrict within a table. In the advanced properties, set objective level security to non for the created role. For example, you have salary column in the employee table. Under that,
hmm.
HR role, set OLS for the salary column to none. Then we do the changes. We can save it, and we this will happen.
Yeah, sure, sure. Okay. So, yeah. So, have you done any kind of work of organizational hierarchy level RLS?
Yes, like organizational hierarchy level RLS I have done. Like you can implement role
Can you
levels.
elaborate this scenario what you have
Like
worked
CEO
on,
can
and
view, yeah, for example, CEO can view data for the level of the organization, or
hmm,
regional managers can view the data for their respective region, and team leader can view data for only for their team. So individual
hmm.
employee can view only their data. That way we can do, like we can ensure the data set include
How
hierarchies.
can we do that?
So a common
Yeah,
approach
got
to,
that, got that.
yeah, a common approach to create the hierarchy table that map user to their employee organization. Like we can create a sample hierarchy. So we will create the
Which
use
function will you use in order to create that hierarchy?
a user email ID. We can define the
I
relationship.
mean, which DAX function? Did you use any DAX functions, or you will create this hierarchy at the data warehouse level?
Data warehouse is there. Like we can do
Let's
this.
say
Like
I want to create this particular hierarchy using Power BI DAX. Will it be possible?
yes, it is possible. We can use a username, user principal name. We can do, and we can employ like a Dex expression for hierarchy
No,
level.
I'm not talking about the function. I want to create that hierarchy which you are going to create at the data warehouse level. I mean, you need to map the individual employee ID to the particular respective manager and then respective CEO or CIO, right?
Yeah.
So that hierarchy I don't have at
Okay.
the data warehouse level, but I want to create that in the Power BI data model side.
So we can define the logic to filter the data dynamic based on the hierarchy, like employee ID, and like we can generate the path. So lookup
How can
value.
we do that?
We can put the manager ID there, manager
Which
ID, or
functions are you going to use?
like Dex
Because you
expression.
need some DAX functions, right, in
Yeah,
order to create that.
yeah. So
So
Dex
which functions?
expression for hierarchy filtering, like define the logic for filter data dynamically based on the hierarchy. So
Okay. Uh, okay. Got it. So is there any possibility to refresh a single table at the Power BI service level?
table.
I mean, in the desktop we can do that, right? Single
Hmm.
table refresh.
Yeah.
But I want to schedule a refresh for that particular single table, because uh, generally we have one or two fact tables in our data model which are going to be daily changings, or let's say hourly changing, right?
Hmm.
And other than these two or one fact table, there are multiple dimension table which oftenly get changed, I mean weekly or maybe monthly. So I don't want to refresh those unnecessary tables daily, but I want to refresh that single table uh, daily using schedule refresh. Is there any possibility at the Power BI service?
Like for large data set, user partition and incremental refresh to minimize refresh, that help. But for the single table refresh is not natively
So
available for all data set. Like without premium or XML endpoint, Power BI required to, like we have to refresh the all data set.
okay, let's say we have a premium version,
Hmm.
premium workspace or premium license, then how can we do that?
Yeah.
Is there any possibility to do that?
Premium account we can do that. We can
How can we then?
We can
Okay,
enable XMLA write access. Like we can go to the Power BI service admin portal and
got it. So
tenant
we'll
setting.
will 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 use the so you are saying that we'll use that connection string. So
Yeah.
that is the first thing. Then
Then we can access the we can use tool like SQL Server Management Studio or Tabulator to connect your data set via XML
so
endpoint. Uh,
XML endpoint using the SSAS,
yes,
right?
yes.
But it's a manual process. So you are using that connection string and then you'll connect to that particular data model. Then you'll refresh that particular table. I
No,
don't
no,
want
no,
that part.
no. So for that, for particular
I want
table
to
only.
automate this all the process.
Yeah, for that only we have connected the source file. Then we can write the script for refresh the single table. To refresh the which table you want to create, you can create select the data your table, you can select that table name and write the full script. Then
Hmm.
this execute the script like for the tabular entry, it will refresh the only
It
specific
will
table.
generate XML script,
Yeah.
XML script, right? Then
Then
I got that part.
yeah, then we can use incremental. If your data set includes large table with incremental refresh configure, you can refresh only specific partition like by month or year,
I got
effectively
that. I
reducing.
got that. That I think you will using this SSS.
Hmm.
You will try to configure those tables which we need to refresh, right?
Yes.
So it will create one XML script. That is the okay part.
Hmm.
But as you talked about that using the connection string, you will generate XML script. That is the fine part. But you need to run that script automatically,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
we need to create some kind of uh, method. So I want to understand that part.
So you want to know
How can
the
we automate that?
what script I need to write.
No, the script will generate automatically when you configure those steps, right?
Hmm.
So you don't need to write the script. I just want to understand this architecture of that automating this step, what you have just mentioned. That generating the script will be one time uh, work, right? But
Okay.
to automate that part, to refresh this single table automatically, then you need some
So
other kind of architecture, right?
PowerShell and like a PowerShell provide a convenient way
Right,
to
right,
run XML
right,
script.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So using PowerShell, you will try to automate that. You will run this script using PowerShell.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, got it. Is there any other way you think of? There is other way.
No, no, no.
Heard the Power BI REST APIs.
REST APIs
Have you
we can
gone
do.
through this?
Yeah, for
Have you
programmatic
gone through the
integration.
documentation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think they have mentioned the single table refresh
Yeah,
process.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what you have just mentioned that so they are going to they generally do same process at the backend level. You don't need to create this same script all kind of thing. But that's okay. That's it from my end. Do you have any question for me?
No, it was a very nice interview. Thank you. I have got
Okay,
aware
that's
about so
fine.
many things, and I just wanted to know what will be the JD actually.
Okay, so I think so this role particularly is about senior Power BI developer.
Hmm.
So mainly you will be focusing on the data model part. I mean optimizing the data model of all the sources in that particular project, right? Then you will be trying to work with the team, which will help you to try to visualize the problem statement what client generally wants,
Okay.
right, in effective manner,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? So these are the main uh, focus of the role. Along with that, you need to uh, uh, have some knowledge of admin side like Power BI workspace level kind of stuff that you mentioned, that roles provision.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about those. Yeah, pretty much that kind of stuff. And the same life cycle of project requirement gathering. We need to try to understand this requirement, then try to create the data requirement, data dictionary, all that stuff. So these are the part and parcel of the uh, Power BI development that you know of, right?
Sure. Okay, thank you so
Okay.
much. That's what I just wanted to know.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you then.